Welcome to the worst album ever made, a show where we're still trying to find out what is the worst album ever made. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to look at Nurse with Wound's classic 1989 album. Oh yeah, we're talking about A Sucks Orange. Nurse with Wound, A Sucked Orange is what we're going to be talking about today. Now, who is Nurse with Wound? Nurse with Wound started in 1978 as the brainchild of Stephen Stapleton. His work started as a fun little jam session with his friends, John and Herman, and then it turned into an intense solo effort that broke new ground with his industrial drone and ambient work. Now here comes A Sucked Orange. Now this album is essentially a amped up compilation album. Now Stephen was going to get rid of a lot of his backups of a lot of his old work and all of his stuff that never really made it. And one of his friends was like, hey, you know what? Some of this stuff is pretty good. You should actually release some of this on an album. And at first, Stephen was like, I don't know, but eventually he was talked in, and that's how we got Scrag, which was a little cassette that eventually became A Sucked Orange, a 29-track beast. And we're going to be talking about 28 of them, because one is a 6-second song that is pretty much just an outtake. Nurse with Wound is a band that is very hard for an outside ear to listen to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the talents of someone who has listened to Nurse with Wound before, and that is Cador. Cador is a musician who loves his drone, he loves his industrial, and he loves his metal. And when I was researching a episode a long time ago, I watched a whole 30-minute review that Cador has done. I think he's a very smart listener, so I'm so happy that he was able to be a part of this one right here.
Hey, what's up? My name is Cador, and I've been commissioned to react to a few select songs off of the Nurse with Wound album, A Sucked Orange. So let's do that. First of all, you can find me on YouTube under Cador, C-A-D-O-R. I also make music, so I'm on SoundCloud and whatnot. Streaming services soon, hopefully. But anyways, I've heard a few Nurse with Wound albums in the past. I wasn't a huge fan, but I am generally into that kind of like experimental noise, industrial, ambient drone nonsense. So I certainly have an open mind. Now, A Sucked Orange usually gains about average review scores. Right now it has a 4-star review on AllMusic, and it has an average score about 3.5 on Rate Your Music. So we shouldn't see anything too crazy, right? Right? Track number 1 is Pleasant Banjo with Irritating Squeak. Track number 1 is a perfect opening to A Sucked Orange, because it gives you exactly what you expect. And this is no frills about it. This is A Sucked Orange, and you need to prepare. It is when you're being strapped into a roller coaster and you feel that you are not checked and secured properly, and then it just goes. Like, Stephen knows that this is not a serious album. This is an album full of cut content. He's gonna let loose. He's gonna have fun. He is going to give you the shit posts, and that's exactly what this whole album pretty much is. There's a couple of serious spots in there, but the majority of the time he is having a goof and a gaff on you, the listener. Now, for this review, I drew every single song has a picture that I drew to accompany it. What I did is every single time I listened to the song, I added a little bit to each one of the pictures, depending how I was feeling. So when I give you the score, I'm also going to show you the picture that I drew. So here it goes. I gave Pleasant Banjo with Irritating Squeak 3 stars. Track 2 is called It's All Gone Weird. Like, I want people to know that the drone and ambience is not
what I listen to on the reg. But for this work, I can respect the picture Steven is trying to paint. Now, in 42 seconds, it gives you this very tense feeling of a dungeon, maybe a factory, and on a movie score, it does really well setting a theme and an atmosphere without having any video to go on enough. You're there. You are in this place. It's not a pleasant place, but you're in it. 2.5 stars. Track 3 is Spiral Theme. Spiral Theme is a theme of bliss and sadness, floating in space while the spacecraft explodes and you realize, this is it. I'm going to die here. And I know that doesn't sound cool, but like, ooh, it's beautiful, it's well done, and it's such a beacon of quality and like, just great. It's great. And it just shines in this album. You have this wonderful pulse that's just going through the whole song. And then you have these just high-pitched, like, it gives me goosebumps every single time I listen to it. I love Spiral Theme. And I think it's so cool. I did not expect having moments of just wow. And that's exactly what happened. I think Spiral Theme is great. I give it 5 stars. Track 4 is Man is the Animal.
Man is the animal who walks on 4 legs as a child, on 2 when he's fully grown, and on 3 when he's old and needs a stick.
Man is the Animal is this crazy woman just screaming. It's just like a nonsense witch just screaming at this guy. And this guy is like terrified of her. And it's so silly. Because it's Hocus Pocus vibes. It's Hocus Pocus 2. I give Man is the Animal a 3.5 stars. Track number 5 is
A Precise History of Industrial Music. I know a fair bit about industrial music, so we'll see if this gives me any new insights. It's only 41 seconds. Some mumbling. Sounds like a printer. Alright, not much to say about that one. I mean, it was just a collage of sounds. Sound collage. That's, I guess, the kind of thing that Nurse with Wind does a lot of the times. Perhaps a little low effort, but it was an interesting combination of sounds, I would say.
track number 7 is Musical Bovine Spongy Form, the Mad Cow 2-step.
It reminds me of that one piece in the 2001 Space Odyssey soundtrack. Just the super dissonant chorus. But like a lot more demented and goofy sounding.
The voice sounds scrambled and digitally strained. And it's just so alien. And when I first heard it, I was terrified. It made my hair stand up on it. Because I was just like, I'm getting so anxious. I don't want to hear it. I do not want to hear this. But the more I listen to it, the more I like it, because I'm not imagining witches in a coven anymore. I'm imagining the friends coming together and recording this. Because it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think I get the idea with this track. All of these tracks seems pretty short, so this is kind of like one idea repeated for a minute or two. That was cool. It was very very insane sounding. Like I felt like I was going insane listening to it. So if that's the goal, then I would say that's pretty good.
Track number 8 is I'm Afraid Not. I'm Afraid Not is a very intense, well-done jungle beat. It sounds like a jungle expedition on a completely different planet. I think it's fun. I think it's great ambiance. I did D&D the other day, and we used this for ambiance, and it felt cool and exciting. I'm Afraid Not gets 3.5 stars. Track number 9, Sinan sings for her chums. Sinan, as I'm assuming her name is, gives an absolute mesmerizing performance on this track.
Go, go. Me, go, go.
Now, I do not know what she is saying other than the word chum, which is repeated a lot. I get a very Jinji Ito vibe from this song. It shouldn't be scary because it's very silly of just a girl begging to be fed chum. But the way it's presented and the way it is, it's formed makes it scary, even though it really shouldn't be. 3 stars. Track number 10 is It Just Ain't So. A deep, haunting scream is ever present in the backing of this track. And then a constant loop of this following phrase, it just ain't necessarily so. You hear the banging of constant metal, which makes me think of slavery or mundane workforce with the siren just blaring down. It makes me just picture this horrible, horrible future where we're enslaved and everything is just gone to hell. It's on a constant cycle. There's nothing really that changes. Sometimes the scream will be dialed back and then brought back in. But not much happens other than that. 2.5 is what I'm giving it. 2.5. Track 11 is Nasal Hair. Nasal Hair is one, like, I kinda like. I'm a connoisseur of secondhand shops, antique stores. I love going to them. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I have spent a lot of my days going into very strange Alabama antique stores where I'm like the only one there and I have to jump and climb through a mountain of things just to see if there's something cool in the antique store. And Nasal Hair gives me that vibe, and I vibe to it. It's very relaxing to me. So I'm giving it 3.5 stars.
Let's see. Rockette Morton, part 1 and 2. All right.
And oh my god, it is the most annoying, the longest, and the most infuriating parts of this album.
Rockette Morton, Rockette Morton, Rockette Morton, Rockette Morton, Rockette Morton, Rockette Morton, Rockette Morton.
For longtime viewers of the show, you probably know about Captain Beefheart and his magic band and their wonderful little album called Trout Mask Replica. In Trout Mask Replica, there is a wonderful cold open about Rockette Morton, who runs on beans. He runs on laser beans. They love Captain Beefheart, and they absolutely love Rockette Morton. So much so that Steven has sampled that little bit of Rockette Morton, and he
Okay. It's just a guy repeating Rockette Morton. Really hope it's not just this for the entire 7 minutes. Yeah, not much else to say about this one. Pretty straightforward concept. Just a guy saying Rockette Morton, repeated, delayed, overlapped. I mean, it's like once you kind of get the concept, there's not really much of a point in hearing the whole thing, but it is kind of interesting to see the different permutations that one word can have when it's kind of overlapped like that. And we're about to move on to part 2. We'll see if it's any different. Oh, he's still saying Rockette Morton. He just keeps going. I don't know why it's split into 2 tracks, but yeah, this idea is stretched a bit thin, to be honest. Goes on for maybe a bit longer than it needs to. It's just kind of a simple, straightforward experiment that, you know, is just explored to its fullest extent here.
If I was going to say anything, I think part 2 is better than part 1, but they're both trash, and I'm combining both of them into one gigantic star. Track 14 is Dog Breath Rising, made from the sounds of what I assume was a dog breathing. It's so crazy how, like, Nurse with Wound can just make just everyday sounds sound so foreign and so different, and just painting this whole weird scenery with it. He goes to town with Dog's Breath Rising in such a short time. 2 stars. After all this craziness, I think we have finally deserved a break. So here's track 15, This Piano Can't Think. A wonderful, delightfully unexpected song that is akin to ragtime, and it's very happy, and it's so go-lucky and fun. I love this track. It makes me smile, and I am okay with that. The sound of ascending high into the clouds or an angel touching down to greet you is the sound I get from Crack Up. Crack Up is a very well-made song, but it's a song that always seems to get buried, and I always forget it's in the track listing. I mean, there's 29 songs. I mean, a few of them are just going to be unmemorable, which is really weird that Crack Up is unmemorable, because it is very well done, and it's a good feeling of, what the fuck? I wrote this script like 3 days ago, and like, I did not remember this song when I wrote it, and I'm now recording this after writing about it, and I completely forgot this song existed again. I got this 2 days ago, and again I forgot Crack Up was on this album. Because I was looking through the track listing, and I was like, Crack Up? What's Crack Up? And I had to listen to it again. I was like, that's Crack Up. But it's not bad. I'm giving it 3 stars, but like, I don't know why. My brain just doesn't have the storage capacity for this, I guess. Next song up is Scissor, Rock, Bicycle, Revelation. While I'm listening to this, I assume that the only instruments that are being used are a pair of scissors, a bicycle, and a guitar, and maybe some like water for good measure. On YouTube now, there are so many people who they're like, I'm gonna make a full song just using this bottle of Gatorade, or I'm gonna make this song out of a piece of tinfoil or something. And they have the editing tools, and just, it's so easy to make a song out of anything. But like, it's very hard to do that same thing like when this album was made. I have no idea how Nurse with Wound was able to do the things he was doing at that time. Any person on Bandcamp could have something that sounds like this now, but back then that takes a lot of time and money to go and produce something like this, put it on vinyl and releasing it. That is insane to me. So I will say that this is not a terrible song. It's not something I'm offended by, but it's a 2.5.
Let's keep going. Dream of a butterfly inside the skull of a horse. These track titles are really good. I love these track titles. That was cool. I mean, yeah, the first minute was just really creepy soundscape kind of stuff. I actually really liked that. The last part was just some lady saying some demonic stuff. I don't know. But yeah, solid little piece there. I actually wish that one was a bit longer rather than... I wish that one was longer and Rockette Morton was shorter.
We're on track 19 now. 10 more to go. Track 19 is pretty dang heavy. This is Raymonde, Cries a River.
There is a river called the river of no return.
This is another one of those very surprising tracks. It's not something you expect, and when I listen to it, I'm just taken aback. I have to stop and be like, wow. Okay, this is a very sweet but very sad and melancholic song about Raymonde, who lost his lover in the river of no return. And he is mourning the loss of who I assume it was his longtime wife. And it's so sad. It's so sad.
Forever to be lost in a stormy sea.
It's a very emotional moment from the album, and it's so sad. Raymonde Cries a River is 4 stars from me. Track number 20 time, it's Fade Crack Down. I'm gonna give Fade Crack Down a 2.
Ritva Sings for the World. Right, 2 minutes, 36 seconds. Solid length. Let's go.
Joulupukki, joulupukki, valkopartaa vanha ukki, eikö taakkaa paina selkää, käypä tänne emme pelkää.
It started out very nice and pleasant. Now it's starting to get rather disturbing. Yep, now it's full on just terrifying. That track was definitely very disturbing and yeah, just very, very creepy and, you know, doesn't make you feel good, but I appreciate that.
Track number 22 is Peccadillo. It's a room with like a ticking clock and some little tiny man hitting a piano with a rubber mallet. When you listen to it, it's like daggers in your ears every single time the piano gives that big old clunk. It is a thing. A 2.5 is respect. Track number 23 is Great Godfather Nieces. This song is silly. Imagine you have like the film reel of an old like 1940s or 50s hard-boiled detective film shot on black and white, and then you just put that in the washer, and then you put it on the reel, you tried to play it, and then you put it on vinyl. It's so absolutely wacky and ridiculous, and I low-key love it. What the hell? What the hell? It's silly. Silly little song, 3.5. Next up is a very blink and you miss it song. It is It Just Ain't So, Slight Return, which is a very small, different mix of It Just Ain't So.
It ain't necessarily so.
And it's so short, I'm just like, why have it? I mean, track 25 is a little missing part of Homotopy to Marie. In 1982, Nurse with Wound made one of like their biggest albums, Homotopy to Marie. And Steven was like, this is what I consider the first good, true Nurse with Wound album. And it has a good little following to it, and a lot of people like respect that album as a very good peak of Nurse with Wound and their discography. And this is a little cut content from it. And like, I've listened to Homotopy to Marie, and I was like, this is terrifying. Absolutely. Oh my god. And this really speaks to that album pretty well, because this is tense as hell. Any piece was out of place, it would be a drastically underwhelming song. I think everything blends so well to be this wonderful piece of terrifying, tense ambience. The only thing I would probably take out is that weird just... Oh! 4 stars. Good job.
And alright, here's the last track that I'm going to listen to for this. SBB, Dragged Through a Hedge, Backwards? Wait, let's see. Alright, another like 2-minute track. Let's see what this is.
You might not like me for this take, but I don't like this one. This song is sensory overload to the max, way more than Rockette Morgan. It is aggressively loud and obnoxious in a way that I just can't listen to this song anymore. All the other songs, I listen to my normal 10. I just can't get through this specific one. It gives me headaches every time. It's too loud, obnoxious, and in your face. It's just not for me. And if it is for you, you are more powerful than me.
This one isn't quite as disturbing as the other ones. It's more just kind of like playful and wacky sounding.
Track number 27, however, Scrappy. I can vibe to this. Track number 28. We are almost finished with a sucked orange. But first we gotta get through a Flea Bite. Another amazing use of ambience and texture to paint this very odd, weird scene. And it sounds like it's from a very deep cave, and you can't really see anything. Everything's really dark, and it's almost like you're touching everything with your ears and not like your hands. It's really hard for me to like go gaga over ambience, but he does a very good job of giving me that imagery, and I can respect it. So 3 stars. Okay, everyone, we finally made it to the finish line. This is track number 29, A Scrambled Egg Rebellion in the Smegma department. What a name. Sorry if I seem a little worn out. This was a lot of music to get through in one sitting. It is a lot, but we're finally here to A Scrambled Egg Rebellion in the Smegma department. It was a very odd way to cap off the album. It's not really a crescendo. It doesn't end on a high note. It ends like the album, like it has like some waves, and then it just kind of just settles. It's going out in a weird little whimper. it is kind of underwhelming. Like, if this was like in the middle, I would be like, yo, whatevs. But like, the fact that this is what like you've been leading to, this is where the journey takes you. It makes you feel like, It's the exact opposite of how I love the first track, because it sets you in for what you're expecting. I really don't like this one just because I feel like this could have just been something a lot better. I'm going to give the last song 2 stars, and that's that.
Okay, well, those were the tracks I was selected to react to. I don't know, it's interesting. I wouldn't say I was like really enamored with anything here, but I also didn't really hate anything. Rockette Morton definitely got kind of tedious to listen to, but yeah, otherwise it was all interesting, and you know, certainly not the worst album ever made. I've heard a lot of experimental noise type music that's a lot worse and a lot less interesting than this, so yeah, I don't know, probably not going to check out the whole album based on this, but you know, it's still interesting, and I appreciate it and respect it. I've definitely made some stuff like this myself. It's fun, it's a good time, and I certainly understand why you'd want to make something like this and release it. So anyway, yeah, my name is Cador. Again, check me out, YouTube, SoundCloud, whatever else, and I'll see you.
Now, do you think this whole thing should belong on the board of shame? No, it shouldn't. For an album to get on the board of shame, it can't have any kind of redeeming qualities. And yes, I know we had Rockette Morton, we had SBB dragged through a freaking hedge, but there is some great work of genius on here. And even though ambience is not usually my cup of tea, and I can really respect the work on A Sucked Orange, and I would put this closer to the works of The Residents more than I would put it in the likes of Doug Walker and William Hung. Completely different story. I'm going to say that Nurse with Wound is a very wonderful band to explore and to sink your teeth into the history. I had a blast researching Nurse with Wound for this episode. So I would recommend, if you are into drone and ambience, you might want to check out Nurse with Wound, because that might be your thing. It's not my thing personally, but I think if I can like it, so can a lot of you. Special thanks to Cador for being my guest listener. Thank you so much for joining us here at the end. If you want to support Cador, check out the link below. He did such a great job, and I hope you also support his music and his lifestyle, because he is rockin'. And whatever, enjoy your Thanksgiving or whatever, if this comes out before Thanksgiving.